All right, folks. Again, howdy everyone, and welcome to this year's Florida Tax Lien Bidding Service webinar. I know that's a mouthful, but I hope to provide you with a fun presentation on the service I provide to my clients, as well as throw in some educational tidbits, and I may even slip up and reveal a couple of my trade secrets if you pay close enough attention. I'll first be going over my pledge to you as a participant in this webinar, and then we'll proceed to have our first date, where I will talk about my humble self and give you details on why you should trust me with your investment. I'll explain the basics of a tax lien, and then we'll jump right into the nitty-gritty of this awesome bidding service I offer and how I pick which liens I bid on. This is roughly a 30-minute presentation, and then I'll open up the chat window to any questions I may not have answered, so hold those until the end, please. And let's rock and roll. So my promise to you. I put this slide first because to me it's the most important. The majority of you have not met me yet, and I fully understand the need to feel comfortable and trusting of the person you are sending your hard-earned money to. So my goal today is to give you information about me personally, my experience, my background, and information about my process of how I choose the liens that I do and how I make money for my clients. My promise to you today is to always be honest. During our Q&A session at the end, if there's a question I do not have the answer to or are not 100% positive on, I will tell you that. I do not claim to be a tax lien guru, and I do not teach on the subject. I am self-taught and have read the statutes more times than I wish to reveal. There are many great programs out there that provide extensive knowledge on the subject. Anything you hear from me today is simply from my own personal experience. I always recommend anyone to learn as much as they can about the subject before pursuing it. And with that said, the great thing about my bidding service is that you don't have to. I promise I'll be genuine and give specific examples, including properties and liens that I currently own or have had interest in. I'll provide real data. The data and charts I will be showing you in this presentation are actual numbers from previous year's auctions. I will not pressure you into anything. This webinar is for your information on the bidding service that I offer. There is no pressure or sales tactics. Of course, I would love for each and every one of you to join this year's bidding service. My company website can be found on the bottom of the slides. If you choose to move forward or have additional questions, you can reach out to me directly, and I hope to hear from you all. Now, on to my elevator speech. My name is Jesse Griffin. I was born and raised in St. Petersburg, Florida, and was drawn back here after college. One of the most important aspects of my life is that I'm a single dad of the most amazing twin 5-year-olds. They are the reason I get up and hustle every day. I'm an animal lover and emergency rescue volunteer, which is essential during hurricane season here in Florida. I've received my bachelor's in digital media from the University of Central Florida, so you may notice the design elements of this presentation. My first experience with real estate was in 2005 when I purchased my first home. As a young entrepreneur, I started a company shooting real estate photography and virtual tours. So I was just about to franchise the business in 2008 when, as we all know, the housing market got crushed, and so did my dreams of ballin' by my late 20s. With that, I also lost my first house like so many other fellow Americans. Thankfully, I failed young enough to learn from my mistakes. Once I got back on my feet, I decided to pursue a master's degree in business administration from the Western Governors University. I actually chose tax liens as my final capstone thesis project, which launched me into my passion for real estate. Shortly after that, I started out flipping mobile homes, buying and selling them on payments, and I currently hold a few notes with that venture. My first lien purchase was actually an over-the-counter lien that got redeemed after just 3 months and ended up amounting to 20% annual interest. So after that, I was hooked. Every check you see on the screen is one I have cashed personally from my own tax liens. I do still hold a full-time position working as a data and risk analyst at Citibank, one of the world's largest financial providers. I've been there for about 8 years now. Since tax liens in Florida are only once a year, I began learning about the tax deed process, and I built a database where the user can easily see all the properties up for auction that month, including photos and detailed info. You can visit my website at www.betterhomeownership.com for details on that and a free 7-day trial. I currently host a Facebook group called the Florida Tax Deed Investors. I've met some of you already through the meetings we've had in the past, and thank you for joining today. I think it's important for any investor to broaden their education and experience. It's that old adage, diversify, diversify, and diversify. But let's not forget location, location, location. That is why I branched out of just Florida in case the next hurricane comes and we're all swimming with the dolphins. I have a self-directed IRA set up where I invest in both Florida and Louisiana tax liens. The photos of the homes you see are all Louisiana tax liens that I own through my IRA company, the Green Dog Group LLC. As a real estate investor, I find success through niche market investing. I recently completed the renovation on my first vacation rental, mostly known as an Airbnb that are so popular now, up Rainbow River in Florida, and has been greatly successful early on. You can visit griffinriverhouse.com to get more info on that. I like working with those that share my same core values and interests. Each of the photos is a different rehab project. I'm a do-it-yourself kind of guy, and I've been on and learned more about roofs in the last few years than you can imagine. So the basics. What the heck is a tax lien? Tax liens are also known as tax certificates, and they've been around for decades, but not until recently have they been exploited through the current technology. Below is an actual example that shows when the homeowner neglects to pay his property tax. The county puts a lien on the property and starts charging interest and fees. If the taxes still aren't paid for a certain period, the county will sell their lien via an online bidding process. In Florida, this sale happens once a year from May through June, depending on the county. One thing to note is that I only bid on the 23 counties hosted online by the Grant Street Group. They have the majority of the metropolitan cities and best platform for bidding. This example here is one of my actual liens. It's an over-the-counter lien. No one bid on it at the annual auction, and I purchased it the day the over-the-counter sale went online for roughly $1,246. 6 months later, I opened my mail to find a check for $1,377. That included the 18% annual interest. So tax liens are practically recession-proof. I'd like to ask how many of you get 365 nights of quality sleep each year, not worrying about whether you will lose in your investments or not. Tax liens are practically foolproof. They are secured by the property. You get paid by the government. So how often does that happen? You're the primary lien holder, which means your interest surpasses all the others, and you get paid first. Your money is basically like Pac-Man gobbling up the cherries. The interest just keeps accruing while you sit on the couch and binge watch Netflix. So once you own the lien, it's hands off. You will never have to communicate with the owner or any other lien holders. Once the lien is redeemed, which means the taxes got paid on the property, the county sends your original investment plus interest earned, and you literally just cash the check. So pretty sweet, huh? So why choose us? Well, we love lazy investors. You let us do the work, and you can take care of cashing the checks. It's a very limited risk investment with our buyback program. We've created a customized, proven algorithm that uses the most strategic data analysis for maximum return for our clients. The flat fees are upfront, and there are no hidden costs. It's only 5% of the certificate's purchase price, and that includes any of the county's transfer fees where applicable. There are real-time transparent results, and you can watch the auctions live on the county websites. This is a secured investment. You own the certificates outright, and you get paid directly by the county. Previously, this bidding service was only available to friends and family friends. It was simply by word of mouth from the previous year's clients. So this is the first time I'm actually doing any kind of marketing for the lien bidding service. A larger group bidding pool also increases the chances of winning those more selective properties. You may hear me say we a lot. I'm mostly a one-man show, but I've had other employees run the analysis and bidding for the more excessive auction days. I've personally trained each and every one of them, and every lien gets my seal of approval and quality check before bidding on. They have no access to any of the funding or financial information. That is kept confidential for me, myself, and I. Of course, there is risk with any investment. However, I have tried to limit the risk as much as possible by providing the exclusive buyback program, which allows my clients to sell back the lien if it has not been redeemed within 2 years. Yes, you heard that right. This means you will never have to have the hassle of applying for the tax deed sale on the property. And I will go into that in just a bit. So we have an easy 4-step process. You're only responsible for the first. You choose the amount to invest. We have a minimum of $1,000. Then send the funds along with the bidder agreement, and that's it. So our team will run our custom-made algorithm across all the tax certificates up for auction. We'll filter for the most optimum properties and bid on behalf of our clients. After the closing of all auctions, the winning certificates will be transferred directly into the client's name. A check for any remaining balance after fees will then be remitted. Once the lien is redeemed, which means it is paid off, you will receive the redemption funds directly from the county. So to go into further detail, what will happen after the funding? We will register each client and set you up with a bidder number for every county we will be bidding in. Deposits will be made for each county. We begin our analysis on over 500,000 liens. We place the bids on those liens that pass our strict standards and exclusive redemption score algorithm. If there are any available funds left over after the auction, we will review the over-the-counter OTC liens. These are typically the liens that have no bids on them and the winner did not end up paying for. Or the winner did not end up paying for. Each client releases their over-the-counter liens on various days. These clients are scrutinized by our team in much more depth than the auctions. So each over-the-counter property is reviewed individually with extensive research on the property before buying. The good thing is that they're guaranteed an 18% interest rate. So with that said, I would like to pull up one of the spreadsheets that I use. So this is one of the tricks that I use in order to choose which counties bid in both to bid in for both auctions and over-the-counter liens. So this spreadsheet is my personal collection of last year's liens auctioned off. You can see the grand total for each county. I also have the over-the-counter liens. You can see the over-the-counter versus the total liens auctioned. And this last chart here is my bread and butter. This is the chart that actually shows the amount of bids at what interest rate. So for instance, I can pull up Miami-Dade, and I can see that the hedge funds bid on nearly all of them, since most of the liens were taken at 0.25%. This is a county I would not bid in because of the competition. But if I were to go the opposite direction and look at, say, Charlotte, you can see that only 25% of all the liens were at 0.25%. I can also see the trends of how others were bidding, such that I know 9%, 9.75%, and 14.75% were the sweet spots last year. So if I were to bid in this county this year, I would set my bidding just below these rates. And now that's not to say that these numbers will be reflective of this year's auction, but the cumulative data is basically an open book into how I go about winning these liens. So the last section, after all the auctions and over-the-counter purchases are finalized, the liens get dropped into a database for client assignment. Once all liens are assigned, you'll receive an email confirming all your liens. Liens will then be transferred into your name, and that includes all transfer fees. A check will be sent for any remaining funds minus the 5% service fee. After that, you get to grab a brewski and celebrate your win. Just to note, funding must be received by Monday, April 22nd to participate in this year's bidding. So our redemption score algorithm. Now, this goes back to the nerdy data analysis I mentioned earlier. I want to preface that these formulas were created by me personally, and you will not find them anywhere else. By trade, I work within the Risks and Controls Department at Citigroup. My full-time job allows me to analyze any situation, especially the risks versus the reward. I have a set of standards built into my homemade algorithm that factors in various points, such as the ratio of certificates paid, an expiration factor, position in line of lien holders to get paid, if a deed has previously been applied on the property, the amount of the face value and assessed values, and a lien to value ratio. If a lien does not pass this strict set of criteria, I will not bid on it. I will automatically eliminate certain liens, such as those with more than 4 outstanding certificates. This is a good indication the property is not worth the amount owed in taxes since no one has stepped up to pay them. It is also suspicious of why the older lien holders have not applied for the tax deed sale to get their money back. So why not bid yourself? First of all, it's competition. The big hedge funds have taken over the game by bidding as low as 0.25%. Our team competes with other investors in over 23 counties. There are billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of certificates being auctioned off within just a few short weeks. We only bid on certificates with the maximum probability of redemption, and if the certificate is not redeemed in 24 months, we'll buy it back. So our lemon liens, the thought of high returns for little cash can make new investors drool. Anyone with a computer and a bank account can bid at the county auction. Our team is experienced in not just tax certificates, but the tax deed process as well. So the research needed for tax auctions is extremely time-consuming and confusing on which certificates you should bid on because there are so many. The example here shows a 2017 lien from Citrus County. You can see that it's right now it's going to cost $905 to pay off. That includes the original lien amount plus interest. So if this lien holder wanted to cash in on their investment, they would have to pay off all of the other lien holders, which would accrue to over $9,800. That's not including any of the fees associated with actually processing the tax deed sale. So our bidding service allows our clients to invest without the hassle and worry of losing their shirt on a bad lien. Just tell us how much you'd like to invest and we'll do the rest. Additionally, I am Florida grown and I know and have traveled to most of the areas I bid on, so I know what areas are good and bad. So our guarantee and buyback program. We value our clients and provide a guarantee that you will never have to file for a tax deed. We will buy back any certificates that are not redeemed within the first 24 months for 100% of the original face value, including a full refund on the 5% commission. So you heard that right, and I want to repeat it. You will receive a full refund if your tax lien is not redeemed, meaning it is not paid within the first 24 months. No questions asked. So first, I don't know anyone else who's offering this type of bidding service. Most of all, anyone that offers a buyback program like this. Again, I have tried to limit the risk for my clients down to the absolute minimum, even if that means I will have to take the loss myself. All right, so one of the biggest questions I get asked is, how do I choose which liens go to which clients? And will you end up with only liens for the minimum amount of interest you listed on the bidding agreement that you're willing to win? The short answer to that is absolutely not. I have developed a lottery type system where I create a collective database of all the liens won from all the counties after all the auctions are complete. I know this slide is a little daunting at first, but if you stick with me here, I will try to explain the system step by step, and I'll try to go slowly. The top chart shows a sample of 6 liens won, ranging from interest rates of 5.25% to 18%. The first part of my lottery system is when my clients are each assigned a number. If there are 50 clients, there will be 50 numbers, 1 through 50, and etc. You can see clients 1 through 3 at the bottom. Next, I have a formula that generates a random number within that range, 1 through 50, and assigns a random number to each lien. Going in order first to last, the liens are matched with their assigned clients. You can see in the example above, the first lien is assigned to client number 1. The second lien is assigned to client number 3, etc. If the lien has an interest rate below what the client listed as their minimum amount of interest willing to receive, then that lien is put back into the next round. Once the client reaches their original investment amount, their lien assignment will be complete. So for the visual representation on your screen here, again, you can see that the first lien of 5.25% was assigned to client 1. The second lien with 5.25% was assigned to client 3. But he chose a minimum interest of 18%, therefore the lien was recycled back into the next round of assignments. The same thing happened with the third lien at 8% interest. The fourth lien at 15.5% interest was assigned to client 2. Notice that client 2 allotted for a minimum 11% interest and actually received a higher rate at 15.5% interest. So back to client 1, who was assigned the last 2 liens at 18% interest. I also want to emphasize that I use my discretion and personally review each and every lien assignment to make sure my clients will be happy with their investments. If I have a client that is willing to accept a minimum 7% and all they were assigned were 7% liens, I will handpick a different assignment to diversify that client's portfolio. But with that said, if a client invests, say, $2,000, they may only receive 2 to 3 liens. So why wouldn't I choose 18% minimum? This, again, is one of the most often asked questions. Everyone wants bigger and better, but unfortunately, the bigger the interest rate, the higher the risk of that lien not being redeemed or that property not being worth the back taxes for someone to pay them off. I don't say this to scare anyone, but I go back to the promise I made to you in the beginning that I will be genuine and honest. Now, that's not to say that all 18% liens are necessarily bad. The majority of the liens I've had have been 15 to 18% interest, and I'm averaging about a 90% redemption rate overall. But I've kept some liens for up to 4 or 5 years now. Looking at the 2 examples on the screen, you can see that there's a 6.5% lien was for a single family home valued at $85,000. The 18% lien was a small parcel of land worth barely double the lien amount. Now, I would never bid on the lien on the right. It would not pass my redemption score algorithm, nor my strict lien quality inspection. Again, I bring up the diversification. So the lower the interest rate, the more likely it is to be redeemed within 2 years. So worst case scenario, this goes back to my promise again, originally, to be honest and transparent with you guys so there are no surprises. Please pay close attention to what I'm about to explain. The state of Florida is one of the most investor-friendly for lien holders. In the statutes, it states that a lien holder will be provided a minimum 5% return on investment. Now, that is a total return on the face value of the lien, not to be confused with the annual interest rate of the lien. Basically, Florida said no matter what what annual interest rate the lien is at, everyone should get a 5% return on their investment. One very important note to make is that I do not bid lower than 5.25%. With the 5% service fee we charge, this means you will never lose any money. Since we collect a service fee of a flat 5%, you will begin collecting pure net profit after the 3rd month. So I want to repeat that so I'm perfectly clear. You will break even on your investment if the lien gets redeemed within the first 3 months. But on the flip side, this means you will also never lose any money with a lower interest rate than 5.25%. And let's not forget our exclusive buyback program includes a full refund on your investment. So after the 3rd month, you'll be collecting pure profit. So how many other of your investments can you say that? Frequently asked questions. So are there any hidden fees? No. The bidding service is a flat 5% service fee, and it includes all county transfer fees. Why would you get a refund when the check has, and when would the check be sent? So the tax certificates are sold in all different amounts. A client may provide funding for $10,000 and end up winning 5 certificates worth a total of, say, $9,251. The flat 5% fee would be $462, so the balance of $286 would then be refunded. The checks will be sent after all of the auctions and over-the-counter sales are completed. So does it matter that I don't live in Florida? No, the entire process and all documents are done online, so you can live anywhere in the United States. If you are outside of the U.S., just email us and we'll have some more information for you. What type of payments do we accept? We accept cashier's checks, money orders, ACH transfers, or secure Zelle transfers. Instructions will be provided with the bidder agreement. What is the deadline for sending funds for the 2019 auction? Monday, April 22nd. So how do I get started? First, email us at info@betterhomeownership.com. You'll receive a copy of the bidder agreement and instructions for funding. Once we receive the signed bidder agreement from you, we will sign it and notarize it and send you a copy. This is a security for both of us, but exclusively so you understand that there's a legal and binding document. Next, you just need to send your funds by the instructions in the bidder agreement. We do recommend sending any paper funds via certified mail and cannot be held responsible for any lost, stolen, or returned mail. Again, the email is info@betterhomeownership.com, and funding must be received by Monday, April 22nd. So with that said, that's the end of my presentation, and I will open up the chat window for any questions. So please feel free to chat in the window with any questions that you have remaining. Okay, somebody asked about the group bidding situation. So the group bidding is something that's offered in Florida with the Grant Street Group. And what it means is that if I have 10 investors, I can put in 10 bidder numbers and it goes into a lottery system. So there may be 1,000 bids total, and I will get 10 chances at that. So the more bidders that we have, the more clients that we have, the better chances we have of winning those liens. So another question, what if I want the property after 2 years? So I always tell everybody, don't expect to get the property. It's very rare that you do, and it's usually not worth it if you have to. The only time the property goes to the certificate holder is during the tax deed sale when nobody else bids on the tax deed. So you basically already paid for the property, and you could have just bid at the tax deed sale. It's a public sale, so anybody can bid. All right, so the long-term aspects of a lien. If I should start by saying that in Florida, you have 7 years to have the lien redeemed, which means you have 7 years of interest accruing. After 7 years, it does expire. So you either want to, apply for the tax deed or try to sell it back to us. I say try, but you can sell it back to us after 2 years. No questions asked. So in those 7 years, you can actually accrue, the interest the entire time. If after 2 years you want to sell it back to us, we'll take it back, or you can sit on it. Like I said, I've had 4 or 5 years on some of the liens I'm sitting on now. I may go ahead and apply for the tax deeds, in the next year or two. All right, a question about what if I don't get any tax liens? That's not going to happen. We have a minimum $1,000 investment, and if you send us $1,000, we're not going to we're not going to assign you a $900 lien. We're going to try to split it up and give you, as much diversification as possible. So, you may get 2 or 3 liens worth, $300-400. Okay, do you pay interest on the money before the auction? No. So what happens is when we go to the auction, once we bid for you, we can assign that lien to any of our group bidding participants. So any of the clients, can get that. We pay the transfer fees. And what happens is that first day, it starts accruing interest. So like I explained before, if it's the first 3 months, you're going to break even. After 3 months, you're going to get interest every single month. So you don't get that interest until the lien is paid off, but it is sitting there, so it is a secured investment. All right, how can I find out who got what auctions or what liens? That's a great question. So like I said, I keep every client's information confidential. You will never know what another client got. And to me, that's very important. If you're at the end, I should say, when I send all of the assignments, you'll get an email first. Once we've closed out all of the bidding and the liens, you'll get an email saying, here are your liens, and here's the interest rate, and what your refund check will be. And then once you get your refund check, those liens, you can go straight to the county website, and you can see your name on those liens. Okay, does a lawyer review our documents? Yes, we have a lawyer review the documents. The bidding agreement is short but sweet. We outline everything that you're responsible for and everything that we are responsible for. So it's a legally binding document that if you give us money, you are going to get your investment back in the form of liens or a refund check. And that is why we notarize on our side the bidder agreement so that you have that document. Okay, it looks like that's the end of the questions. If anybody has any more, please feel free to email me at info@betterhomeownership.com. I appreciate all of you, and hope you have a great day.